We don't do a cool intro like you guys.
It's very low budget here.
Yeah, we are.
You
We are as low budget as we can get.
I like the intro because you can relax for a minute while the video clip's playing and chill out.
That was really nice, where we just kind of just sat, listened to the intro, was very quiet, and then when it ended, it was just like, okay, and now we're here, and I was like, oh wow, this is class.
Yeah, it's a good way to go in. Rather than just being like, now we're live. Oh shit.
Yeah.
That can be done.
Yeah, we are as low budget as low budget gets, baby. But
It still looks good on here.
yeah,
We could start doing our shows on Discord, Joe, to be honest.
I like cheeseburgers.
Heck yeah.
I like cheeseburgers.
So are we actually live right now? Are we starting?
We are actually live right now, believe it or not. Andy is about to indulge the people that were making fun of us in the comments of our video about cheeseburgers because we are huskier gentlemen. Andy is going to... He's been saving this for live.
Andy, I've got a question about the burger. Do you keep the pickles on, or do you eat the pickles?
You gotta
Definitely pickles, man. No onions, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely agree with you. Hate onions.
Yeah, I'm
See,
not...
I like pickles, but not on my cheeseburger at Macca's.
So it's interesting. I have to be in the mood for it. Sometimes I take them off. Sometimes I leave them on.
It depends on how many pickles they put on something.
It's true.
Because, like, I'll get a sub from somewhere, and it's literally just, like, a jar, handful, just tossed in, like, half of a sub that's, like, this big. And it's like, I'd want to taste some other things here.
So that's the problem with pickles, that they're very overpowering. So if you do decide to put them on there, that's pretty much what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you guys some questions just because I want to get to know you guys a little bit. And
This is literally the first thing I've eaten all day.
really,
Yeah.
wow. Are either of you married, or do you have children? Either of you?
No.
Does a four-legged furry friend count as a child?
We'll give it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Depends on the temperament, because sometimes, like, I feel like my cats are worse than my child at some points.
Oh no, she's very well behaved, so.
Yeah, there are some moments where I'm like dealing with my kid, and she's like crazy, and then she winds down and chills and just goes and does whatever, and then the cats are like puking on the carpet, and then they're like plucking at the carpet, and then they're like running around chasing each other, hissing. I'm like, can we chill here for a second?
Yeah, you're making it sound really appealing.
I'm eating.
I like to sell the dad vibe here.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what do you guys do for a living?
I sell video games from home, so I got a pretty cool job. On top of that, it's YouTube, Twitch. But yeah, I work from home selling video games on eBay mainly, or selling to collectors on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. And yeah, I've been doing that for 3-4 years now, and that's awesome. I love it.
So do you?
I don't make as much money as when I used to work full time, but I have more free time than ever, and I don't have any stress in my life. It's awesome.
That's a good like life hack. There is like, if you find something that you're doing and enjoy, and you're financially stable, and you can do whatever, like, that's the key right there.
100%. If you're happy and you're working, you've just like ticked all the boxes, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy what you enjoy what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life.
It's true though. I wake up every day is just a great day, you know. I don't not look forward to any day. It's awesome.
That's great. What about you, Joe? What do you do?
I'm a male prostitute.
I love it. I'm sorry. Are you serious?
I'm Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, duh. How do you think I got all this freaking treasures, bro? I'm the best there
He doesn't
ever
do
was.
it for money. He does it for goods.
Well, remember how you say you want to love what you do, and every day you got to wake up. Smile.
$20 is $20.
He wakes up out of bed fresh and just takes a nice little picture, and
And that's all. Yeah, you know. No, I'm a financial aid specialist. I work at a university.
Oh, I would not have put you on that job there. I don't
No,
know what job I
most
would have
people
put you
wouldn't.
on, but that was like one of those. You tell me what you do, and it's like, oh, really?
I've done a million things though. I'm one of those people. I've had just like every job in the world, so I know a little bit about everything. So I'm useful in a lot of situations. Like I used to work at Radio Shack for a few years, which, man, believe it or not, that was really like useful when it came to like my music equipment and learning how to record things and using computers and hooking. Like I just learned so much random crap about composite cables and component cables and all. Like there was just, yeah. So that stuck with me forever. And then I used to for a while I worked at a swimming pool company. So I just know like a lot of weird stuff about water chemistry. Fucking shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you just like it's funny. Like
The Radio Shack one, I'm like, that's cool. The pool one, I'm like,
hey, it's good to know, you know, like I don't know. I just know a lot about pools. It's funny.
I mean,
yeah.
So to know stuff about pools is, I mean, even my sister just went through like a whole disaster with her pool, mainly because she has no idea what she's doing and doesn't care what anybody says. She knows best. But it's been a nightmare to just sit back and watch her just spend all the money just trying to make it work, and it's like that's
very expensive.
That's not the way you do it.
Well, if you learn enough about pools, eventually you just learn you shouldn't get one. It's like a money pit that never ends. And like at some point, what ends up happening is everybody is like just spending all this money and time maintaining it, and like no one's using it, and everyone just gets like sick of it after a while. That just always happens.
So that's
so
how
you spend
$100
$100,000 to add 10,000 to the house value.
Yeah. Actually, pools don't add value to the house; they actually hurt the house value. Because some people find pools to be like
a job,
the absolute worst thing. So if they would have been like, I love the house, and we would have bought it, but that pool, that's it.
I think it depends on the area too. If you had a house in like Florida or something with a pool, it's going to sell better than a house in New Hampshire with a pool.
I guess that's probably true. Yeah. So that's how you started your male prostitute career. Is like you started as the nice little pool boy.
Exactly.
He's the cabana boy.
It's true.
Excuse me, sir.
It was a natural career path progression for me, yeah.
Can you fill my lemonade?
What movie was that where it was like, it was the pool boy? And like, he was like, she said something, he was like, yeah.
I have no idea.
That was the the movie, was that Legally Blonde? That wasn't Legally Blonde.
I don't know.
That's not my strong suit.
How did you guys meet? Because I know Figsy's in Australia and you're on the East Coast with us. So how did you guys like come about?
I got this request from Australia to fly out there for a job. This is gonna be the theme of the whole freaking show now. I'm sorry, I should never have made that joke.
Just digging yourself a hole, making the backstory.
Oh gosh.
I'll let Joe answer this one because I think Joe met me rather than me meeting Joe.
Yeah. So basically, like, I was obviously into collecting PlayStation games. I don't know if you know that about me, but I
never would have guessed.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like that generation of gaming, PS3 and Xbox 360, was the time period of my life where I was like totally addicted to playing World of Warcraft, and that was like the only game I played like that entire time. Like I played PS3 and 360 at my friends' houses. Like I played games at their houses with them, but I never owned one or played any. And so like I just like knew very little about that generation of games. And I just started YouTubing one day, and I'm like, man, I need to learn about PS3. I've got to that point in my collecting where I was like, you know, I know enough about PS1 and PS2, but I don't know anything about this. So I started watching a bunch of videos. And sure enough, who popped up? Mr. Figsy Games over here.
Yeah, it doesn't make YouTube videos anymore.
Yeah. Right time, right place, though, for me. And this was like peak time where like you were still like releasing a lot of like videos about the console, and you were starting to do like PS4 rare games and stuff like that. And I just like binged his channel and a bunch of other people's channels, and just did a bunch of, used to comment on the videos, blah 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 blah. And then when he started the show, he was looking for guests, and I think I asked him. I think I asked to come on your show or something like that. Show up my VR collection or some shit. I don't even remember. Whatever episode I was on. I was
You weren't on Facebook. You're on Discord. So I think it was a matter of like me reaching out for guests, and you were just the first one. You're like, yeah, I can come on whenever you want, and I'm just, all right, let's get this guy on. He's got a cool name.
Fair enough. Yeah. And so
Turned out he had a good mic and a good audio setup too, so that helped.
Yep. I had done streaming for a while. Back in 2000 something, I don't know. I hurt my back in my old job. One of the other jobs I had, I worked in a factory and I used to forge metal, which was probably the most badass job I ever had. So I used to heat up metal in this giant freaking furnace to thousands of degrees, and then I would smash it with giant machines and shit, like a freaking.
It's a pretty unusual job.
Dwarf
You
from
don't
Lord of
hear
the Rings.
much about. Well, I used to work next to a forge. It was a little like office that was drywalled off from the forge, and we have to walk the whole way across the whole entire forge to get to the back.
That's kind of cool.
That's my extent of a forge.
I actually loved the job, believe it or not. Like, it was just very peaceful, and it was one of those places, like, it was so loud that, like, you just got to put headphones on and listen to music all day, and no one would bother you, and they would just, like, you just have to do work, and that was it. Like, no one bothered you. I loved that job. But I broke my back, because it turns out moving buckets of metal all day isn't really good for your back. Surprisingly, I didn't
Surprisingly, yeah, it's probably pretty bad for it.
Yeah, so I was like out of commission. Like I hurt it bad. I had to have surgery and stuff, and like I couldn't like do much for like almost 2 years. And so I ended up like getting into streaming a lot, and I bought all like this camera stuff and the mic stuff. But then like most things, once I got better and I got a job, I just didn't have time to stream anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why when he's like, "You want to come on the show?" I'm like, "Fucking yeah, man! I got all this stuff. I don't even use it anymore. Let's do this. Why not?" So,
If we rewind a little bit to the start of the show, I'm gonna rewind years. So I started collecting PS3 like 2014. I was just going out buying everything I could find. I met one guy on Facebook who was down in Sydney and he was doing the same thing. And we're like, "Where's all these games? Like we're struggling to find new games and no one's talking about this stuff." And we're like, "Let's make a Facebook group." All right. So we made this group called PlayStation 3 Collectors. And if you fast forward to today, there's like 4,000 people in there, and it's an active group, and people will trade with each other throughout the world. And that sort of started my, all right, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going for a full PS3 set. I'm making it public in this group. I'm telling everyone I'm going for all these games, and I'm happy to trade with everyone. So over the course of 5 or 6 years, I probably traded with 200 different collectors over the world. I went to Europe, went to North America, met a lot of these people. Collected a full PS3 set, including all the variants, every SingStar game, every Buzz game. I basically had like 2,500 PS3 games, had this crazy collection, and no one was making YouTube videos about like the PS3. That wasn't sort of like, I got 100 games, here's some of the cool ones. Well, I'm like, well, I've got every one. Why don't I make a full series on like every rare and collectible PS3 game, starting from A, going to Z. So I did, and it was like a 30 episode series, 15, 20 games a show, mainly showing like, this is the version of all the DLC. It's only released in this region. It's the one you want to pick up. Or here's a version that's only in English. This is the one you want to pick up. And fully going through the set. And those videos took off. Some of them got like 10,000+ views today. And a lot of those games I spoke about are collectible and expensive today, which, kind of worked out that the predictions were right. Or people watched the videos and went out and bought them. I don't know.
Probably a little bit of both. I mean,
A little
if you
bit
have
of
that
both.
many eyes on it, I'm sure it influenced it at least a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. And then I started streaming on Twitch. I was playing PUBG at the time, and I got on the leaderboards, like number 3 in the world on PlayStation, and that got people watching me. And I grew my Twitch account to like 3,000 viewers, and I was streaming to 100 people every night, and that was doing well. So I got in a stream team called AF Gaming, and I was like playing for them, competing in tournaments and stuff, and it was going really well. And then as a streaming content team, they're like, you can't just stream, you need to make content. but they got me making YouTube videos. And the videos were performing terribly. I was getting like 10, 20 views. I'm like, no one wants to watch this shit. I'm like, why don't I record my PlayStation collection? And I did. And the video got like 5,000 views overnight. I'm like, oh, shit. All right, guys, I'm going to make PlayStation videos on YouTube because that seems to work. And I sort of stopped streaming because I got out of PUBG and one thing turned into YouTube. And then I got up to 3,000 subs in a couple of years and I was making 2 videos a week. And I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast. I reached out to one guy, Will, and he was going to be my first guest. And he's like, why don't we do the show together? So we started doing the show together. It worked all right for a while, but our personalities clashed in the end. And after about 6 months, I decided it wasn't really working out. And Joe was around at the time, and he'd probably been on the show 5 or 6 times. And our chemistry was just better, and we didn't argue and everything. So decided to get Joe as the host, and yeah, things have just, we're season 4 now, 150 episodes in, and yeah, I'm still streaming on Twitch and stuff, and yeah, life's pretty cool.
When I came on, I had no idea who you guys were when I came onto your podcast. It was just kind of, I think Reggie made a post on Instagram, and I commented on it, and I was like, yeah, like that'd be great. So then we scheduled it, through Figsy, I believe. And when I came on, I didn't know what to expect. I had never been on any podcast before or anything like that. But like, you guys just made it very effortless and very easy. The way you guys like back and forth, it like works very well. I did notice like you guys have just kind of like this good chemistry, good like balance.
Yeah, we almost have like a template for the show, the way it's going to go. Like at the 1 hour point, this is going to happen. In an hour and a half, this is going to happen. So we've got content ready. If we had a guest come on and they didn't speak for the whole show, you wouldn't know, because me and Joe will still talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's
you guys moved it along very, very well. It was nice.
Yeah, no, it's worked out pretty well. Where if we get a guest who wants to talk for 2 hours, we'll let them talk for 2 hours. So no, it's cool.
Yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed it. So it was like, well, maybe we should have a guest on every now and then and like just change the dynamic a little bit. Because I mean, it is hard to kind of like, with me and Andy here, like I'm big into like game collecting and like watching content creators of game collecting and just like the whole scene. But Andy's like not really into that scene as much. So we get to like, we have differing opinions and views, and it's.
Well, that kind of works
I'm
too,
just
like
here, man.
because
Like,
you'll
I'm
get people
literally
watching
here.
who are into that.
Just here.
You know, I sort of, when I started the podcast, the idea wasn't to make a podcast. It was, let's make a show, and every week we'll get a different collector on, and we'll share that collection. So eventually, you know, hundreds of collectors will be shared, because I knew all these cool people that just didn't make content. And, you know, it's cool to talk to these different people, and especially people in different countries. Like we have had a collector from Brazil on, we've had someone from Finland on, we've had someone from Poland on, someone from the Netherlands, someone from Denmark, someone from South Africa, someone from India, and they've all got, someone from Iraq, and they've all got completely different experiences game collecting. And it's cool hearing these stories.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to have like different people on and like ask them, you know, different questions and seeing how it differs from you. And then since you talk to a bunch of people, you get to see how it differs from like 5 to 6 to 10 different people. It definitely is really, really interesting. I like that that aspect of it.
We all know what collecting in America or collecting in the UK or Australia is like, but yeah, when you get into different countries, it's like I had no idea how big Iran's video game scene was in the 90s. And because of the sanctions of America, they weren't allowed any video games, so they pirated them all. So they had every game back in the day, but it was all pirated versions, and that's what they did. And you know, Sony, Microsoft weren't allowed in the country, so they went and got fake versions of all these games. And it's cool to hear that just because they weren't allowed in there didn't stop gamers from gaming.
Yeah, I don't think anything can stop gamers from gaming, really. Gamers be gaming.
It's cool to hear like people in certain countries how like they said like, you know, a quarter for them at the arcade was like a freaking huge deal. Like it was like a lot of money to play a game sometimes in certain countries, and like I always found that fascinating too. I liked like we had guests from like Romania and stuff as well, and they're parts of the they say like they have like totally different nostalgia for old stuff than we do, because they just like Figsy said, they didn't have Nintendos or Sega Master Systems or anything like that, so they're all into like old PC stuff and the ZX Spectrum and the Amiga and all that, and I find that all fascinating too, like the Commodore, all that stuff. Like that's like a whole world of gaming that like I didn't experience growing up. I was just like Atari, Nintendo, Sega, stuff like that. So it's cool to like Figsy said, you get that worldwide perspective. I think that's the best thing about the show for sure.
Yeah, that
And then different demographics too. Someone who's 60 compared to someone who's 30, regardless of where they're from, have a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Commodore 64 was a thing of beauty.
I have zero experience with the Commodore 64. Or
I mean,
or an Atari.
It's a hard sell to people who didn't grow up with it. Like I, it's a little too retro, I think, for most people to go back and experience. But that's it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I feel I'm old, older than probably you guys are, but like I got to grow up with Atari and experience it when it was like new, like the Nintendo. I saw that come out, what I mean? Like, so I got to enjoy all of the games as they came out, so I can appreciate all of them at the time, because I remember when I'm like, yo, this Atari was the shit. River Raid was amazing. Food Fight was so fun. Like Congo Bongo, all these games, like I had a great time playing them, so I can go back and enjoy them. But I don't know if I could, you try out like a collection or something. Or just emulate them all on like a 1 megabyte SD card, because you fit the entire library on there.
I've got no interest in going back further than the PS1, because I grew up with the PS1. Anything earlier than that doesn't interest me. But PS1 is nostalgic as hell, because I had that as a kid. Even the games I didn't play, they're nostalgic because they're the ones I didn't get to play as a kid.
You just made Andy so happy by saying that, because we just put out a segment today from last week about how the NES is overrated in terms of like how people love it as like collectors and stuff like that. So like I
think the number one thing people collect.
Like I can agree that the NES is like pretty overrated when it comes to like the actual playable games that are on the system for the broader audience, or for people to, like a younger guy to take interest and go back and play it and be actually involved and enjoy playing it, versus like the PS1 or the PS2 or even like a Super Nintendo or N64, like something like that. So like Andy was on the one end and I was on the other, and I almost strangled this man.
And I think nostalgic plays a big role into it. If you ask your kids, they probably think the PS3 looks outdated, and the 360 looks outdated, and the Wii looks outdated, because they grew up with the PS4 and the Switch, and that's as far back as they want to go, and that's fine, because that's how nostalgic works. In 30 years, that'll be the cool stuff for them.
Yeah,
remember playing Fortnite?
Yeah, yeah. I can agree. Like when you look back on like something that old, and you're just like, ew, gross. But I can see people enjoying it because of the world we live in of content creation, and so many people talk about Super Mario 3 or Metroid or any mainstay title for the NES to go back and play something like that, versus going and picking up like, I don't even know, like just a random NES title and be like, this looks cool, let's play it, and you put it in and it's literally the most dog shit game ever created, and it's like, cool, it doesn't even look pretty.
I'm gonna reiterate, no Metroid. No Metroid.
I don't think many people like the Metroid NES, but that could have been like the bullet that killed me there.
It's a good.
But I
game.
think you're right with the whole
It's
Mario
harder.
thing, because you can give a kid Mario from 30 years ago and they're gonna have a blast, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like something that a kid can pick up and like actually get the grasp and play, versus me, a full-grown adult, picking up something, and my attention span's probably worse than a kid's. So if
Yeah.
I don't grab it immediately and I'm just like, nope, I have no interest.
Unless you're from the short era where their attention span's like a goldfish.
That's anybody born after 2010.
Yeah, modern kids, unfortunately. You see
Yeah.
the videos of like them playing games on the iPad and scrolling videos, and they're not even watching them. What are these kids? They're wild.
So
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I just think game philosophy and design is so different that just even going back and playing games like that would not be comfortable. Like games back then, the whole point of them were they were small. First of all, they couldn't make like giant games, so they had to fit on little cartridges. And so what they would do is they would just make them balls hard, and like it would just be like a pure test of Twitch skill, like most of the games. And you know, you might have to play a game 500 to 1,000 times to beat the damn thing.
yeah.
And that's how it was back then. Like Ghosts and Goblins, or like some of these old shmups or anything like that. Like that's just how it was. Or freaking Ninja Gaiden. Oh my god! Like some of these, they're so hard. Some of these games. So, you know, I don't think that most players nowadays will go back and have the patience for that shit at all, man. They'll go play a game. They'll get a game over screen in the first 5 minutes and be like, "What is this? No, thank you. Game over."
Well, and
This
that's
game
like,
Well, to
over,
elaborate
right?
on that, Joe, like a lot of the reason those games were hard was because they're not designed for the NES, they're designed for the arcades. And the idea behind the game is to put as many quarters in as possible. So if you got to put 500 quarters in, that's a more successful game than one you can beat in, 4 quarters, for example. Where today, that's not a thing. You want the reviews to be good. So you want the viewer to have an enjoyable experience. So you don't want them to die 500 times because they're just going to complain about the game.
could you
Correct.
imagine The Last of Us on arcade?
That would be a weird experience.
Like 4 hours through, waiting for your turn.
That's what I was gonna say. You can't do modern games in the arcade because you'd have to have a bench in a movie theater with popcorn to sit there and watch the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right.
45 minutes before you get to play. There's no way. You get to see my parents like, we gotta go. I'd be like, what do you mean we gotta go? I'm like, we just did the first cutscene there, friend. No, I just wouldn't work
I
for me.
feel like it's something that you like a modern thing like that. Like they have Tomb Raider, like the re-release of Tomb Raider. They have that in arcades. They have that at that Round One Amusements. It's like I don't know what it is. I didn't get to play it, but I would imagine that it'd be something at like a Dave and Buster's or something.
Yeah, it's not like a regular Tomb Raider. What was that? What did they call the game? It had the blue and the red guns.
Time Crisis.
Yes, Time Crisis. It's like the Tomb Raider adapt version of Time Crisis.
Oh,
Fun.
interesting.
I like light gun games, so I'm down for any of that sort of thing.
I surprisingly just don't have that much like experience playing. Like the only light gun game that I'd played is Time Crisis in like the arcades, and obviously Duck Hunt.
You never played House of the Dead? You played those
Oh
games?
yeah, I did
Really?
play House of the Dead like in arcades too,
Mm.
but I never got them for like the home console. Surprisingly enough.
They had a Terminator that was a light gun for the arcade too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You had like
Okay.
the little mini Uzi,
Yeah, you actually had the little machine gun.
and I think it had like a little
Yeah,
like
like-
recoil thing. In it.
Rat-tat-tat-tat. Yeah. Yeah, it was dope. So that machine is like one of those nowadays. It's like always broken if you go to an arcade. That's never works because it's like, or one controller works and the other one's broken. It's always
Yeah.
broken.
They have a really cool arcade near us here in Pennsylvania. It's called Timeline Arcade, and they have a bunch of just like the absolute classic arcade games, pinball machines. They have consoles in there too. Like they really like go all out to provide like that arcade nostalgia feel. It's fantastic.
And you pay by the hour.
And you pay by the hour. So like you
Oh,
go
that's
in
cool.
and you just play as many.
You just
as
play whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, because I don't know. It's like some of those like arcades, if you go to and they're still coin operated or whatever, like it's like, I'm like, you really expect me to spend $1 on this still? It's been 30 years, sir. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving you $1.
When you
to
own the
play
game at home.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's just
I go
bizarre.
in, I own half the games in the arcades these days. When I was gone, I was thinking about what modern games are on arcades, and the only two I can think of are Guitar Hero and Dance Dance Revolution.
Music games, yeah.
Yeah,
Rhythm
they
games
have
are huge.
they have what we were just talking about that actually when you were gone. They have like the re-release of Tomb Raider. They have that in the arcades. I don't think it's the game. I think it's probably like an adaptation meant for arcades, but they do have that in the arcades.
That's interesting. Probably like a side-scrolling, like one level or something.
Probably something like that. So
Oh,
I
man.
have a question here for you, Figsy, because we have to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a kangaroo? Like in the wild?
He lives in Australia. Of course he fucking has.
Like
It's
every
like asking if
day.
he's seen a squirrel.
Or a wallaby?
So where I used to live was Wallaby Central. So I've hit wallabies with my car multiple times.
Oh shit! Like
That's what
Walla
happens
was.
up here. But I moved recently and I drove a truck 3,000 kilometers from North Queensland to Melbourne, and I was driving one day at like 5 p.m. A big kangaroo, like 2 meters tall, jumped in front of the truck, and I swerved, and it then went on the other side. And I swerved back, and woo, just missed it.
Damn.
So like,
Runnings, they jump in front of headlights and they get blinded and then just stop.
They're like deer.
So
Yeah,
they
just
have
like
the
deer.
kangaroos over there are deer.
Correct.
I want to move to Australia now,
They're
man.
jumping
That
deers,
sounds
you know?
awesome.
The
They still jump like a meter or two. The wallabies don't jump much. The wallabies run more like
that
bulldogs or
answer
something.
did not disappoint me. I'm so glad we asked that.
I'm not even gonna bother asking about Rocco now.
This is
I've had run-ins with kangaroos before. Who've ever seen them? They're the big emu-looking birds, but they're black with like the red thing on their heads.
oh yeah.
I used to live in a place where they were still native, and yeah, plenty of stories of kangaroos and dogs. And
That's
there was a
That's
cyclone afterwards, and we had a baby, and I was trying to direct it to where our compost bin was, and then it ran at me, and our dog went after it, and yeah, that was a story.
My wife wants to know, because she had to go gluten-free recently. What is it like over there? Like, is gluten-free a thing over there, or is it not?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. We got like a country full of foodies, so
Well,
every restaurant you'll have like gluten-free restaurants and gluten-free supermarkets and stuff. Like it's full on over here.
we have like very small like sections in the store that offer like bread or noodles or like stuff like that, but like half the time when we're in the store grocery shopping, like we have to like search it out and like look at it. But
It used to be like that. I lived with a guy that was celiac intolerant.
yeah,
Like 15 years ago, it was hard to find that stuff, but today it's absolutely everywhere. Same with like vegan food. Like there'll be full aisles in the supermarket with vegan and gluten-free sections these days, and most every restaurant's got like a gluten-free option and things like that.
we have that like to an extent, but like she seems to like find like the TikToks or whatnot of these other countries that have all these like gluten-free options. Like even at fast food restaurants, they have gluten-free buns for this and that. And
Yeah, Australia's like that.
we have none of it here, and she's just like, why?
You know what pisses me off? Is I can never find the extra gluten section. Like I'm like I want as much gluten as possible. Like I usually ask. I ordered. I'm like, do you have double gluten rolls,
I'm
sir?
eating for two here. One person,
Yes.
like I should do that. It's like, I'll take her gluten.
How can I be
That's
a
right.
gluttonous bastard?
Yeah, I want as much gluten as possible. Do you sell actual like gluten spread that I can just put on my toast or something?
Give me more
I don't
gluten.
know. But I'm persecuted and I don't get a section, so whatever.
You guys have
You
Wegmans in New Hampshire?
Would you call me?
Wegmans?
I don't know what that is. So no,
It's
no,
a grocery
maybe.
store chain.
No, I don't. No, oh, New England, where I'm from, it's Market Basket. That's the only. They're king. Demoulas and Market Basket rule everything. There are like Walmart and there's Shaw's and Stop and Shop too, but like all of them closed because Market Basket rules all. Like Lord of the Rings, like Sauron burning on the hill, like no one can defeat them. They're just telling. We have in the town I live, we have 3 enormous Market Baskets in just my town. 3 of them. It's absurd.
Dude,
Have you got like Walmarts or anything?
Yeah, we got Walmart, and we have like smaller, like fancier places, like McKinnon's is what it's called. It's like a slightly upper scale supermarket.
Like Whole Foods or something? Or is that
Yeah,
just
kind of like
local?
that. Kind of like that. And then we have like this place. My town. Well, I don't want to dox myself, so.
yeah, we don't want to do that.
I live in Vegas.